Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Anko x Kurenai x Tsunade x Taiyuya, part 3, subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. Land of Snow. Naruto rams his boot heel into the left eye of one Kazahana, soon to be former daimyo of the Land of Snow. Behind the pair were Naruto's queens feeding on the remains of Daten's guards with one on her knees in complete and abject fear shining in her green eyes. "You monster," Daten hisses, struggling to force Naruto's boot off his face. Naruto smirks and turns into a pirouette on Daten's face, causing the man to scream in pain and clutch his destroyed face as Naruto backflips away. The blonde lands with a perfect tense stance with his arms up, shifting his gaze to Daten's last guard. He has a pale tone, a thin and bony face, teal eyes, and a narrow nose. He also has a Hapuri-style 8 with long purple hair and a ponytail running down his back, along with a long thin strand of purple hair hanging over the right side of his face. "Damn you," the man hisses. Naruto grins with a callous smile on his face as his Colt forms in his right hand. "Now Nadarunga, no need to get angry with me," he says, firing a shot into Daten's right leg. Daten screams and falls to one knee with his cut-up face on display, but Naruto puts one between his eyes and he crumples. "Yugao brings me Fubuki," Naruto says, slipping the Colt into his back waist. Yugao pulls Fubuki to her feet as blood covers her mouth and chest armor while the pink-haired snow ninja shakes in fear. Nader glares at Naruto heatedly, but the wooden vines keep him rooted to the ground, his gaze sparing a glance to Mizur's corpse while currently devouring his corpse as some sort of snake creature. "Now before you die, Nadarunga, you will witness firsthand your fate," Naruto says, slowly holding out his hand too. The blonde vampire's blue eyes glow and Fubuki's green eyes glaze over as she slowly takes his hand and he spins her around to face. Naruto rips open the neck and shoulder of Fubuki's uniform to expose her neck as his right hand grasps her under her chin. Naruto covers Fubuki's mouth as he bites into her neck, causing her to scream in pain as he drinks her life away. Fubuki's eyes flutter in pain and slowly glaze over as she falls from Naruto's grasp and hits the floor with a blank look on her face. "Well, she died with a little pleasure, you won't get," what Naruto says, walking towards. He glares at the blonde but spits at his feet and Naruto pulls his Colt out, placing it to Nature's head. "Go and protect your master in hell," Naruto says, blowing Nature's head open. Numerous hungry tendrils burst from Naruto's body towards the corpses of and Daten, dragging both towards his breaking down body. The Ice Queens watch in fascination as Naruto absorbs all three bodies. "I'll never get used to seeing what Hana says," and the other nods. "My clones have dealt with the rest of Daten's forces," Naruto says, standing to his full height and rolling his neck. "Now the princess has her kingdom back," Anko says. "And all it took was a genjutsu of us and her broken, violated, and killed Hana," comments. Naruto shrugs his shoulders with a light of a cigarette. "Just imagine if Gramps assigned a genin team," he says. "None of them are ready, guys, team may muster. And that is pushing it. Kakashi-senpai may have pushed for it if not for getting to her first states. Regardless, we're done here and Lady Koyuki has returned home. So let's go get the wayward princess," Naruto says, and all of them nod. A week later, Naruto and his queens were standing in front of Koyuki Kazahana, the rightful daimyo of Snow Country, but now renamed Spring Country. The treasure Koyuki kept safe that her uncle coveted was actually a key to the heat generator. The generator is a final gift from her late father Sumsetsu Kazahana to bring spring to their frigid homeland. "Thank you for putting Koyuki-sama back on her rightful throne," says Sandaka-sama, her faithful guard. Koyuki nods slightly to the five with a slight blush towards Naruto. "Yes, thank you. You managed to awaken my frozen heart," she says. "Think nothing of it, Koyuki. We all hope for someone to save us," Naruto says. Sandak approaches and hands Naruto a scroll. Inside is a document about a possible trade agreement with Konoha, he says, and Naruto bows at the waist. "You're most kind. We will see ourselves out," Naruto says, bowing again at the waist with his queens. "Must you leave so soon?" Koyuki asks. "Unfortunately, we all have obligations in Konoha that require our attention. However, we will be having our Chunin exams in about 2 months. Perhaps you can come for the finals in a month," Naruto says. "I will think about, and again thank you for saving my country," and the five excuses themselves. "She'll be a good ally for us and a place to hide if needed," Kurenai says, once they leave the palace. "Always best to have contingencies," Naruto muses as they head towards the harbor. Victoria was waiting for them with one of Gato's old ships. "We are ready to depart," she says, wearing a purple business attire and a ruby necklace around her neck under a black coat. "Good, and have the captain set a course to hot water," Naruto says as they board and Victoria bows. "Well, that was a productive mission." Naruto plops on the large bed in their private room. "Indeed, I learned more Heimten jutsu and you all gained more souls," he says, his clothes melting away to a pair of shorts and a white long sleeve shirt. The four queens strip away their clothes in a similar fashion and climb into bed with their man. Should we fool around before sleeping? Coos, settling atop the blonde. Sleep first, all the swing is annoying, Naruto says and pouts but settles on his mid-chest. Yugao takes Naruto's left arm and Kurenai takes the right while Hana shifts to his waist above his manhood. A clone pops to life and seals the room to allow them to sleep, also to give orders to the crew and Victoria. Tenten looked around with unfocused eyes. What were those women? Why couldn't I see their faces, she whispers, moving her sheets and finding her panties soiled. Cold shower then a workout, Tenten thought. The weapons mistress makes a few laps around the village after a shower, but her mind is plagued by her dream. Oh, good morning, Tenten, a very familiar voice shouts. Tenten turns to run backward slightly to see and Lee, morning, she shouts as the pair pass her. Tenten finishes her workout and heads back home, finding her adopted parents up and about. Early morning, Ten-chan, her mom Natsuko asks. She has dark hair and eyes with a modest figure. Yeah, I couldn't sleep so I did a few laps around the village, Tenten says, glancing at her dad Genbo. He's an imposing man with gray hair and blue eyes, but a teddy bear at heart. Something wrong, Tenten asks, but she shakes her head. Nothing, just thinking, am I doing enough for the exams? Tenten says. Her team was Taijutsu-oriented due to Lee's lack of chakra and Niji's reliance on his family's Taijutsu. She herself was oriented to weapons and neglected other facets of ninja skills, save Kenjutsu for her weapons. I'm sure you will do alright. However, you don't have to rush to be promoted. I still remember seeing you after that horrible mission. Thank Kami for the ANBU and then remember that mission to Frost. Her team was ambushed by missing nin from and flew into a rage, compromising the mission, but luckily Naruto swooped in and saved them, or namely her. Tenten's breath slight hitches, those blue eyes were like Naruto's. Did I have a wet dream about him? She thought. Ten-chan, you're all red, are you sure you're okay? Natsuko asks and Tenten waves her hands. No, I'm alright, I'm gonna take a nap and meet my team later, Tenten says and quickly excuses herself. Maybe I should go see Naruto 10 times, going for a nap. A few hours later, Tenten stands with her team, Lee spouting about youth and standing with his eyes closed. Tenten admitted to herself she had a small crush on the clan member, but his obsession with fate soured any and all chances. He hates Hinata for being in the main family, but still bows to her. He claims fate cannot be changed, but he does by hating her and wanting to harm her. 10,000 thoughts. Training for Team 3 was the same each time, as she trained with her weapons while training Taijutsu with An Lee. Sensei, I wonder if you could teach me some ninjutsu, Tenten asks and cups his chin. Well, my youthful student, I do not rely on ninjutsu, and that wouldn't be fair to Lee, who can't. Perhaps you can visit my rival, Guy says. Tenten slowly nodded, but internally she was angry. I think I will, Guy Sensei. Do you know where he is? Training ground 7 with his team, replies and 10 times excuses herself. The bun-hair Kunoichi makes her way to training ground 7 and finds team 7. What are you doing here, Tenten? Hinata asks, doing some katas. I'm looking for Kakashi Sensei, Guy Sensei, to send me to see if he would teach me some ninjutsu, Tenten explains. Why should Kakashi teach someone from another team? Sasuke says. Aren't we all Konoha ninja? Karen says, balancing on one of the wooden stumps. Mama, I don't see why not, but with the Chunin exams in 2 months, I would hate to give an advantage to another team, Kakashi says, reading his icha, and Tenten frowns. How about me then? Naruto says, walking up. Tenten glances back at Naruto and her cheeks become a little pink. Well, I don't see why not. Will that work? Naruto is ninjutsu heavy due to his reserves, Kakashi says. Sure, that is fine, thank you, Kakashi Sensei, Tenten says, and Kakashi gives her his trademarked eye smile. Follow me then, Naruto says, and Tenten quickly follows the blonde. So what brought this on, he asks. I want to be more prepared for the exams. I think I'm too over-specialized on, Tenten replies, as they find an empty training ground. Naruto pulls a piece of chakra paper from his vest. First we need to know your elemental affinity. Just channel some chakra into this paper, he says, handing it to Tenten. She channels her chakra and the paper wrinkles to signify a lightning nature, Raiten. Tenten says. You can channel through ninja wire or your weapons, Naruto says, going to a tree and kicking it to knock some leaves down. So how does this work? Tenten asks. Naruto hands Tenten the leaves, but holds up one. You must be able to crinkle the leaf with your chakra by changing it to, he says, and splits the leaf with his futon. Easier said than done, Tenten says, and Naruto adjusts his sunglasses. You may be able to learn by the time exams start. I'll check on you once a week and see how you do, okay, Naruto says. Right, thanks, Naruto, Tenten says and excuses herself to meet back up with her team. Once Tenten is gone, Yugao drops down in her full ANBU gear and Dragon has called a meeting, she says. Naruto slips off his sunglasses and they shift into his ANBU mask. Let's be on our way, Nico, he says, slipping it on and both vanishing. Scene break ANBU HQ. As you all know, the Chunin exams are in 2 months, which means increased patrols with the influx of visitors, and foreign ninja dragons start sitting with several of her captains. However, one of you will have a very unique role for the exams, namely Yukikatsuki Sandame Sama wants you to be the proctor for the second round preliminaries, if necessary also his guard for the finals, as well, Dragon adds. Naruto remains silent with his arms folded and his hood hiding his face. On your order, he says, his voice distorted. What if there aren't any preliminaries? Rhino asks. Then he'll do my paperwork if they happen. You're doing it, Rhino Dragon says, causing a few silent sniggers. I heard Senpai will enter his rookie team. Yuhi and Sarutobi are doing the same, Nico says. They want to show off the last, Uchiha Kuma states, his large arms folded. Of course, home turf, the padding of our teams will help him pass to the second round, Owl comments. Regardless, it's our job to protect the great tree, dismissed Dragon states, and the captains file out of the room. Ikatsuki, the Rhino says, and Naruto stops to turn to him. No hard feelings on doing Dragon's work, Rhino says, but Naruto smirks behind his mask. Right, but you should know, Rhino never bet against me, Naruto says, and vanishes, with Leaf Shunshin. Dragon taps Rhino on the shoulder with a smirk behind their mask. Make sure your handwriting is perfect, Dragon says, and Rhino freezes. Dragon reaches their office and finds Naruto waiting for them. You have your orders. What you don't like, the Dragon says. No, it's just you're picking on Rhino, I almost feel bad, Naruto says, and the Dragon snorts. I hear the pervert is coming soon, the Dragon says, taking a seat at their desk. He has no idea about my changes or that I'm an ANBU Gramps, and felt best not to tell him, Naruto muses, slipping a cigarette into his mouth and lighting it with a silver Zippo. He more than likely believes you are a newly minted genin in need of his teachings, however you are a near S-rank shinobi and engaged to 4 women, Dragon comments. Through Naruto muses and pulls 2 photos out of his coat, tossing them to the Dragon. Dragon's breath hitches at the photo of a man with spiky orange hair, his eyes purple with a rippled pattern. The second photo is of a woman with blue hair and amber eyes, along several piercings with a flower in her hair. How accurate is this? The Dragon asks. Confirmed, Hanzo no longer rules AIM, but a man called Pain Danzo had dealings with a salamander, but went dark years ago. Na reported that the rain in the village is laden with chakra, so I sent clones in their place. The rain stops once a week on Sundays, so I took advantage and sent them, and Naruto starts. The woman is called Conan or Lady Angel, the man is called Pain. What is interesting is that the cloak looks familiar, Naruto adds. Akatsuki, I've heard rumors about some group wearing those colors, Dragon states. We'll have to speak to our vaunted spy master, Naruto says, rising to his feet. So how'd you get the photos? The Dragon asks. Once the clones popped, I used a henge, Naruto says, leaving the Dragon's office. Over the next 2 months, Naruto split time helping his team and Tenten. Karen used her cage bunshin to learn a few, while Tenten managed to finish her training and learn to channel through her weapons. Naruto also learned that his queens were affecting Tenten's dreams and driving the girl to him, which he didn't mind and allowed it. Chunin exams are D1 2 months later. Team 7 makes their way to the academy with Redeed looking between her teammates. They enter the school and see the various teams milling about and making their ways upstairs to the 3rd floor. However, a scene was being made on the 2nd floor, but marked 3rd, as several people were arguing with 2 people about being let in. In jutsu, Karen whispers to Hinata and the heiress nods. They take down that stupid genjutsu, Sasuke shouts, shocking his teammates. Several of the genin grumble as the 3 become 2 and they make their way up to the next floor. Team 7 reaches the 3rd floor and finds Kakashi waiting for them. Well, now you can officially begin the Chunin exams. These exams are team-based, and if any of the 3 you didn't come you would have been prohibited, Kakashi says. Now then, Hinata, Sasuke, Karen, good luck, Kakashi adds and steps aside, allowing the members of Team 7 to enter the exam hall. They seem poised, a voice says, and Kakashi looks up to see Naruto slinking out of the ceiling. You didn't have any parting words for them, Kakashi says. Naruto tilts his head, but his face is hidden by his ANBU mask. Nothing that would help them. Besides, Sasuke believes this is easy if a dope like me can pass, he says, his voice fading as he slinks back. Kakashi looks back at the closed door. If you still believe that, Sasuke, then you are in for a rude awakening, he thought. Inside, Team 7 were looking at the assembled genin, as many were loitering about, causing Karen to sigh and calm herself from the kai being thrown around. Sasuke-kun, 2 voices shout, and Karen sees Ino glumping Sasuke, with Sakura glaring at her. Karen decides to ignore the fangirls to look around the room and sees Team 3 near a corner before approaching them. What do you want? Niji says, coldly. Leave her alone, Tenten says, and Karen shoots him a glare. So is your team ready, Tenten adds. As we can be, Kakashi-sensei gave us 3 days of rest, but Naruto only gave me 1, Karen says, and Tenten blushes slightly. How's Naruto? I haven't seen him lately, Tenten says, to the shock of her teammates. Karen was about to reply when a fight broke out between someone in glasses and the genin from Odo. However, a large puff of smoke erupts at the front of the room. Enough. No fighting before the second round. Calm down or be kicked, a man says. He has several scars on his face with a blue bandana, wearing a grey uniform and black trench coat. Sorry, we got a little excited, one says, his face bandaged. He wears a large poncho with long sleeves, a snake-patterned scarf around his neck, a straw raincoat protruding from the back of his scarf, and a large amplifier on his right arm. Now everyone takes a seat. My name is Ibiki Marino, and I am the proctor for the first round of the Chunin exams, the man declares, as 12 similarly dressed ninjas stand behind, but with no coats. Alright, now that I have your attention, everyone take a number and go to your assigned seat, then we'll pass out the test states, holding a number 1. Scene break. The sound of an electric guitar echoes near the main gate of the Forest of Death, the source being Naruto on a raised platform with a haunting solo. Anko was also sitting on the platform with a dango stick in her mouth and her body swaying to the tune. She's wearing black form-fitting pants with heeled kunoichi boots to her knees, along with shin guards. The tight purple dress shirt with a low-cut corset vest that pushes up her breasts and a grey trench coat draped on her shoulders with black gloves. How's the first round going? Naruto asks. Anko covers her right eye to look at the room from one of her snakes. Going well, the rookies are still there. Oh, Ibiki's almost done, I better go, she says, and vanishes. Naruto sighs and absorbs the guitar into his body with a sigh. I better go too, he says, and explodes into a murder of crows. Back in the academy, looks over the remaining genin, but feels the room starting to chill. Oh, she's early, he thought. Hey, why is it getting cold? Shouts as Akamaru starts to whimper. The room lights start to dim and the room darkens, shocking many of the genin as Kai fills the room. Ibiki, you let 26 teams pass, a voice croon, seemingly from everywhere. Several screams erupt as snakes start to make their presence known. What are snakes doing here? Sakura screams. Kabuto adjusts his glasses with a hidden serious look. Anko Mitarashi is incapable of such things, he thought. Don't worry though, I'll make sure to cut that number by at least half, the voice says. The snakes start to swirl and undulate together until they take a human shape but fall to the ground to die, as appears, her eyes a glowing purple and the whites of her eyes a black void. Hello foolish mortals, croons. Many of the genin were immediately put off as fear seems to run rampant, but suddenly everything returns to normal with standing in front. I'm Anko Mitarashi, the Chunin exam second round proctor. Now follow me to my playground, Anko says. Where the hell is your playground? One genin shouts and grins wide. The Forest of Death says. About half an hour later, the genin was standing at the main gate of the Forest of Death. This is where the second round will take place. The 44th training ground, or my playground, the Forest of Death starts and reaches in her coat. Now before we begin, I'll need to pass out these consent forms and you will sign them. This absolves our respective villages in case of death. The second round consists of a 5-day survival mission. Survival no states. Anko reaches back into her coat to pull out 2 scrolls, one marked Heaven and the other marked Earth. The Forest of Death is made of 44 locked gates with a river and a tower in the center approximately 10 kilometers away. Each team will receive one of these scrolls. Your goal is to reach the center tower with both scrolls within the 5 days. How you get them is up to you, Anko explains. That doesn't seem so tough, but his cheek opens up as appears behind. The snake mistress licks some blood from Kiba's cheek and frightens the brother of her harem sister. I would beg to differ, your blood is nearly as tasty as your sister says before walking back to the main gate. Now there are some rules for this round. Bring both scrolls to the center tower and do not open the scrolls before you arrive. Lastly, you will need all your teammates to pass, so even if you get both scrolls without your teammates, you fail, states. What about food? Shouts. Tough, there is plenty to eat. Now sign your forms and come get your scrolls, replies. The genin talked amongst themselves, but unbeknownst to them a certain blonde vampire was watching. They seem to know the rules, but so do I, he thought, shifting his gaze to a redeed with raccoon-like eyes. That's Shukaku's host. Those bags under his eyes are dead. Giveaway comments. Arano Sabaku, son of the Yondaine Kazukiage, Naruto muses, but smirks, seeing Gaara look in his general direction. He must sense you, Kyuubi, Naruto says, and Kyuubi snorts. Like Tanuki compared to me, let alone you, Kyuubi says. Oh, so what do you think about me? Naruto says and smiles, seeing Karen looking directly at him. I'll need to keep my distance, but I'll be shadowing them, Naruto thought, keeping a gaze on a member of the Kusa team. Soon each team has their respective scroll and line up at the respective gates. Team 7 finds themselves at gate 12. You better keep your senses honed, Uzumaki Sasuke says. I will also have my Byakugan comments. One of the proctors unlocks the gate and checks his watch as the time ticks by, but the horns blare. Each team quickly rushes inside as the gates shoot open as the second round begins. Scene break. Screams soon fill the forest as the second round begins in earnest, but at the same time sits under the shade of the booth near the main gate. Music to my slow-beating heart thought. Oi, Midarashi's voice shouts and opens her eyes to see. What I'm trying for a nap here shouts. We got 3 bodies, Katetsu says and furrows her brow. There is something odd about them, he adds. Anko sighs and rises to her feet to slip on her coat, led the way she says, following. The pair soon near 3 bodies near some Buddha statues. According to their IDs they are from Kusa but, as you can see, the faces are missing. Anko, and a silent growl with narrow eyes as the white of her eyes bleed black. This is serious inform Lord Third also informs him to mobilize at least 2 ANBU squads go she shouts, and both vanish. Naruto Orochimaru is in the forest. He's impersonating a Kusa team, Anko thought. I thought, as much as I'll play with him for a little while, Naruto replies, and smirks. Happy hunting my fox says. Music. Orochimaru fight theme. Sasuke glares heatedly at the Kusa ninja named Shire, with his Sharingan glowing in the shadows. I still need to kill him. I will not die here, he thought, slipping a kunai in his mouth. Shire licks his lips with a wide grin, his gaze slightly shifting as he tries to recover from his Kai blast. As your Uchiha blood awakens Sasuke-kun sneers. Sasuke shoots across the branches towards a leap as the Kusa ninja sends a burst of chakra. Sasuke counters with several kunai, but dodges as Sasuke maneuvers to a branch, launching off with a battle cry. The last loyal sends a flurry of punches and kicks, but blocks evenly, and Sasuke keeps up. I can see Sasuke thought, dodging and countering Shire's attacks. Shire picks up his speed, but Sasuke keeps up and counters with back-to-back fireballs, forcing to change tactics and come at Sasuke through the tree branch. He's pretty good though, sending another burst of chakra. Sasuke dodges as it tears through a large branch and closes the gap, grabbing from behind into a plummeting pillared river. Sasuke quickly leaps back as stays rooted in place, but he gasps as melts into mud. Awarimi Sasuke thought and quickly had to dodge a flurry of kunai. Sasuke uses ninja wire to propel himself around a large tree, but catches him as he lands with a combination of punches, knees, and elbows. Sasuke tosses a paper bomb to distract as he leaps back, tossing shuriken with ninja wire attached. This is, says. Sasuke yanks hard and pins to a tree as he flashes signs to stop a tiger, Kaiten. Rika no Sasuke shouts. The flames engulf as he screams in agony with the flames blowing a hole into the large tree. The flames die down as Sasuke tries to rein in his breath as slowly nears him, but both of them gasps as easily breaks the wire before using a paralysis on them. I'm impressed by your Sharingan use, but it pales in front of your brother Sasuke-kun says, part of his face melted away and revealed pale white skin. Sasuke struggles to move as touches his 8 to reveal a musical note instead of the Kusa symbol. However you can be so much more than him he says, his voice changing. Who are you? Sasuke says. Shire holds up their heaven scroll. My name is Orochimaru he says, but suddenly his neck extends like a snake. Hinata gasps as Sasuke screams in pain from Shore or Orochimaru's bite on his neck. Seek me out for more power Sasuke-kun Orochimaru says after unlatching and drops the scroll on the ground. You enjoy my gift Orochimaru, sinking into the ground. Hinata activates her Byakugan and scans the area as she retrieves their scroll. Where are you Karen she thought, checking on Sasuke. Song ends. Scene break. At the same time Sasuke and were fighting for their lives. Karen was dealing with another team of genin from. Can we take her? One says. He has brown hair and eyes wearing casual clothes with a weapons pouch. Karen quickly makes 5 clones and they charge to the genin. They're just illusions, the Kunoichi says, having brown hair and gray eyes. Karen smirks as the clones kick each genin in the face as she flashes several signs, stopping at hair. Suiton. Mizurappa Karen intones, firing a water blast and knocking out the genin. Karen quickly leaps away to search for her teammates, but she freezes as a thick blanket of Kai erupts. Fukuku, a voice says. Karen slowly turns to Orochimaru standing behind her. Who are you? She says. Orochimaru licks his lips with a smirk on his face, but suddenly his head launches from a wide sword swipe, causing Karen to gasp as Naruto lands in front of her, but Orochimaru turns to snakes. Oh Karen Naruto says, and the Reteed leaps away. Naruto rolls his neck as Orochimaru appears again and stares back at him. Hello Naruto-kun he says. Kind of cowardly to run away from me. Snake no matter. We'll see each other soon. Oh one more thing Anko says hello, and she looks forward to when I mount you on my wall Naruto says, and Orochimaru melts into mud. Naruto sheathes his, but glances back to see Karen. I'll tell you to go he says. I know, but I was worried, Karen says. Naruto ruffles his blonde hair and adjusts his ANBU mask. Come on I'll take you to your team he says, and both leap away. Naruto slowly, as Karen keeps going, they're in the hollow tree he thought, but his eyes narrowed, sensing three near them. Karen lands in the clearing and makes her way to the tree, seeing Sasuke laying motionless and sweating. Hinata, Karen says, and the heiress looks up. Where have you been? Hinata says, slight anger in her tone. Karen kneels next to Sasuke with a sigh. After being blown away by that wind, I encountered a giant bear and then another genin team. I managed to knock them out and get their scroll, she explains, showing the earth scroll. But at least you were good at something. We were attacked by someone called Orochimaru, and he marked Sasuke with something that explained and missed a frown from Karen. We'll stay here until the morning and make for the tower, Hinata states. What about Sasuke? Karen says, checking his vitals. Hinata looks down at the last, he's starting to stabilize. He should awaken by then, she says, and Karen slowly nods. Scene break. Next morning, Team Dosu led by his teammates Akuabumi and Kintsuchi were keeping a close eye on the hollow tree for Team 7. When are we gonna strike? I want to get my hands on that Redeed, Zaku says. He has spiky black hair and dark eyes with a beige shirt having 2 black stripes and 3 prints of the kanji for death. A hapuriate under the cloth rather than connected to the metal plate with a snake patterned scarf around his neck. Maybe we can sell the Hyuga's eyes, Kin says. She has fair skin, black eyes with very long black hair tied by a violet ribbon right near the end. A pale green vest similar to a flak jacket, snake patterned pants, skirt over it, and a snake patterned scarf around her neck. Those are interesting thoughts, however I can't allow that to happen when a voice croons. All 3 Odo ninja freeze, but before they could react black roots ensnare them around their limbs. What the fuck is this? Shouts, but screams as his right arm is snapped in 2. This is for your thoughts on my family. Now instead of killing you 3 I'll give a bit of advice. The one you were sent to kill has the curse mark, the voice hisses, and dog's breath hitches. Kin looks around in fear, but her eyes widen as a glowing eye emerges in the shadows of the bark, along with a white mask with only one eye visible. Why would Orochimaru-sama not tell us? Kin says. Frankly, I do not care. Now run along before I decide to devour your souls, the voice hisses as mouths open among the shadows. The roots release them and look with a wide eye. Let's go, he says. What are we gonna let some voices keep us from killing? Sasuke shouts, clutching his broken arm. Dosu narrows his eyes at, fool, your arm is busted and the Uchiha has the curse mark. We can't fight that for now. We'll fall back and inform Orochimaru-sama about this mystery entity, he says. Zaku asks with a silent growl and vows to kill whoever it was that broke his arm. Come say, and the 3 leap away. A few minutes pass and Naruto slowly emerges from the ground just as dark chakra fills the area as Sasuke emerges from the hollow tree. Well, let's see how he does. My clone should have hidden the others, Naruto says. Sasuke stands in the clearing with black markings running along his body and purple chakra wafting off his body. Yes, with this power I can kill him, he thought. Suddenly 3 nondescript genin from AIM appear in front of Sasuke. Hand over your scroll or die, one shouts. Sasuke continues to admire his power as one of them charges but locks eyes with Sasuke and freezes. Fool, Sasuke sneers, shooting forward and slitting his throat with a kunai. The other 2 quickly charge Sasuke, but he weaves several signs and stops at the tiger, Kaiten. Nkakak no, he shouts, incinerating both. Sasuke grins as he listens to their dying wails, but as quickly as it appeared, his new power faded and the dark markings receded. Sasuke falls to his knees with several gulping breaths. This power, I will make it mine, he thought, slowly getting to his feet and returning to the tree. However, Sasuke didn't notice the 3 corpses pop into smoke. He didn't even hesitate to kill them. The curse mark brings one's dark thoughts and gives them an intoxicating feeling, as well as Naruto muses, standing on a high tree. 2 ANBU with a designation of Crane and Mantis land on each side of him, Reporty says. We lost track of the target, Crane says. He's a snake after all, Naruto muses, feeling his clone's memories. Akubetsu Jonin Midarashi is heading to the tower as we speak and asks the Hokage to be advised, Mantis adds. But I will head there myself, keep patrols tight and find out how the snake snuck into the garden, Naruto says, and both nod, vanishing. The pieces are starting to move, Naruto though, vanishing as Karen and exiting the tree to look around. Scene break. Anko sits on a blue sofa in one of the upper level rooms with 2 ANBU. It's distasteful, but we can't cancel the exams on the account of Orochimaru, she says. What do you mean? One ANBU says. However, I could say anything. The door shoots open with one of the proctors from the first round. What is it? We're having a meeting, she shouts. Sorry ma'am, but you need to see this, the proctor says, holding a tape. Video, the second ANBU says. The proctor kneels and places the tape to play it for them, with it showing the team entering the tower earlier. Look at the time, the proctor says. Anko narrows her eyes and her breath slightly hitches. This is accurate, she says. Yes, it was taken 1 hour and 37 minutes after the start of the round, the proctor says. They broke the record by 4 hours, Anko says. Yes, they finished the exams in 97 minutes. That's unheard of. They cannot be genin level, the proctor says, but giggles. It's not just that, take a good look at the redhead, says, and the proctor looks closer, causing his eyes to widen in shock. Phew, for you see now he doesn't have a speck of damage or dirt on him, Anko says. We got quite an interesting fellow in the exams even though he has evil eyes, the second ANBU says. Anko makes her way to the large window and opens it. Regardless, continue your search for that snake, she says, and both ANBU vanish, followed by the proctor excusing himself. Anko moves from the window as a murder of crows bursts in and forms Naruto. No joy, she says. He ran, Naruto says, rolling his neck and plopping on the sofa. He gave Sasuke the curse mark though, Naruto says, and Anko's eyes narrow. It's different from yours, he adds. This is bad. We'll need to pull the Uchiha from the exams, Anko says. You know the old man won't. He's the last loyal Uchiha. If he's pulled, it'll look bad on Konoha's image. Besides, one senpai sees it, he'll seal it up, Naruto explains, slipping off his coat. You want to hear something interesting, Anko says, taking a seat next to him. Naruto shifts and lays his head in Anko's lap. The Tsunade team finished in 97 minutes, the Redeed didn't have a scratch on him, Anko says. That was a foregone conclusion, he's the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi, Naruto says, and Anko's breath hitches, plus he's Orochimaru's linchpin, he adds. Anko frowns and strokes the shaved portion of Naruto's hair. I think we should tell the Hokage about the invasion, she says. No, this is Konoha's penance. Innocents will die, but it's time Konoha comes off their high horse, and the old man, seeing his actions, brings this about, Naruto says, looking at the wall. Scene break 3 days later. Eren stands with other hopefuls as he speaks about the true meaning of the exams, while the proctors and of each team stand behind them. Perhaps I should explain the rules of the third round, a voice says, catching the genin off guard. Hiruzen puffs his pipe and raises right arm even with his shoulder as Naruto lands in a crouch. Good ahead then, Hiruzen says. The genin murmur amongst themselves as Naruto looks at them from the shadows of his beaked hood. He now wears a black dress uniform jacket which features a red lining along the torso with the lower half of the coat forming 2 tails. Completing his outfit with black pants into knee-high leather boots, having a high heel and a blood-red dress shirt with a black tie and suit vest. Naruto places his hands on Hiruzen's arm and lifts to balance before leaning forward and to the ground with his boots. Naruto reaches high and rams his hand into the shadows of his hood to his elbow and slowly pulls back. My name is Kikatsuki and I will be the proctor of these preliminaries, Naruto says, revealing his pale white mask with no mouth or nose, but the right eye covered by a black eye patch and left socket having a black tear streak. Preliminaries, Shikamaru questions. Yes, 21 of you passed, Naruto says and raises his index finger. That is too many of you for the third round, he adds and raises his middle finger. The finals take place in front of many important guests, as Lord Third said, I'm sure none of them would like to sit through boring matches with weak people. Naruto continues and smirks, seeing some angered faces, and raises his ring finger. Now before we start, would any of you like to drop out? Naruto says. The genin stands and looks between each other, but Kabuto raises his hand. I would like to drop out. My body is quite worn out, he says. Anko approaches with a clipboard and hands it to Naruto. Well, no wonder you've taken the exam 7 times, you're a fucking weakling, she sneers. Don't be rude to him. He is weak, yes, but a fellow Konoha ninja, Naruto says and looks over the remaining genin. Anyone else wishes to quit like that excuse of a ninja, he adds. Kabuto hides a dark glare on his face as he leaves the testing area. No matter your bloodline, I will kill you, he thought. Well, since all of you are smarter than Kabuto, we can now begin the preliminaries, Naruto says. Wait a second and roughly turn Naruto's head, pulling down his hood to reveal black hair with a red streak. Anko then shocks everyone by moving Naruto's mask to face them and deeply kissing him in front of everyone. No fair, Anko rages. What's stopping you? None of them know it's Naruto, but Panda and Karen, Anko replies. Holy shit, shouts. Teammate gasps as it moves from her spot among the and marches up to Naruto and, pushing the ladder aside, and kisses Naruto herself. Kurenai sensei? Kiba shouts. Hiruzen suddenly coughs loudly to get their attention. If you're quite finished, Kikatsuki, Anko, Kurenai, we would like to begin the preliminaries, he says as Kakashi giggles and Asuma glares at Naruto. Anko places Naruto's mask back in place as he turns back to the group. Right now, unlike the first 2 rounds, these will be individual based one-on-one matches since 20 remain. We will have 10 matches, he states, raising his right pinky, ring, and middle fingers. You will fight until someone dies, collapses, or gives up, but if the person gives up, the match is over regardless if you're going for the kill. Break that rule and pay the consequences, Naruto continues, dropping each finger. Naruto then holds up his clipboard. Here are the matches picked at random by our ANBU. so I'll announce the first match. If you aren't called, head to the upper area, he states. The tension slowly starts to rise as Naruto keeps them waiting to sweat. The first match is Ino Yamanaka vs Sasuke Uchiha, he declares, shocking Ino and Sakura. Sasuke smirks internally but winces and grasps his neck. Easy win, he thought. Both of you step forward, Naruto declares as the pair do so, but reluctantly. Everyone starts to make their way to the upper levels as Ino and Sasuke stand face to face, but Kakashi whispers something to Sasuke. Both combatants ready, Naruto shouts. Wait, I forfeit, Ino says. Naruto locks his visible eye on Ino with a sigh. Why do you not want to be promoted? He went through the same forest as you. You could pull off the upset, he says. No way I couldn't fight Sasuke-kun, Ino, and Naruto shakes his head. Fine winner Sasuke Uchiha, you can both head to the upper levels, however. Yamanaka, you should give up entirely. You're a Kunoichi of Konohagakure, not some pampered princess hoping for some boy to save you. I hope you watch the coming matches and see how Naruto states real Kunoichi battle and clears his throat, looking at his clipboard. The next match is Miss Yumi Tsurugi vs Kankuro Sabaku, Naruto announces. Scene break. Konoha rookies. Why did you and that freaky proctor kiss that ANBU? Kiba says. Kurenai looks at her student and the other rookies as Sasuke was taken by Kakashi. He's my fiancé and I share him with Anko, she explains. Share him, Ino says, incredulously. Asuma silently scoffs and looks to the fight as Miss Yumi attempts to snap Kankuro's neck. He's under the Krar clan restoration. This allows a single male member to marry multiple women to repopulate his clan, he explains, and here's the snap. However, none of you know it is someone your age, thought. Tenten was listening but shifted her gaze to Naruto and her thoughts drift to her dreams lately. No way would you go for me then, she thought. Miss Yumi gasps as clay pieces fall to the ground and Kankuro turns his head 360 degrees to reveal a puppet face. The puppet shouts. The wrapped parcel writhes as the reel emerges as he wraps its arms around until he passes out. Winner Kankuro Sabaku, Naruto declares. Kankuro smirks and picks his puppet. I hope that impresses you, Proctor, he says, but Naruto ignores him. Mednin takes as Naruto hears the rookies discussing Kankuro's skills. The next match is Shino Aburam vs Aku Abumi, Naruto shouts. The pair make their way down as Aku simply smirks but his face drifts to Naruto's mask, causing his breath to hitch. That's the same mask, Zaku thought, gnashing his teeth. Shino stands impassively as switches his gaze between him and Naruto. Both fighters are ready, begin, Naruto states, stepping back. You should retire given your injuries, Shino says. Zaku scoffs and raises his left arm with a smirk. I'm not as injured as you think, he shouts, pointing his left hand. Zanka shouts, firing a concussive blast of sound airwaves. Shino is engulfed and thrown end over end until he comes to a halt face down, shocking his teammates and fellow genin, some of them. However, as the smoke clears, slowly rises to his feet with loud chattering noises. But Zaku says, looking around. However, Zaku suddenly sees bugs emerging from points on Shino's body, bugs bursting from inside his body. He thought. What are you trying to pull? Zaku shouts but gasps and looks back to see more bugs coming from behind him. These insects are known as Kikage. They attack en masse and devour chakra, and with this amount your loss is guaranteed, says, and gnashes his teeth. If you attack me with your left, my Kikage attacks you and vice versa as well, says, and smirks, wrenching his right arm from his sling. Then how about I use both, shouts and point both arms at both and his Kikage. He made you believe his right arm was useless and caught you off guard. Zank starts, but his arms burst at the forearms with blue chakra, shocking many watching. Zaku screams in pain, but sees Kikage in the holes in his palms. I managed to sneak some onto you, appearing behind him. Zaku attempts to attack, but Shino connects with a back fist to his face, sending him flying back to the ground. Naruto approaches and sees the serious damage to Zaku's arms. Zaku is unable to continue. Winner is Shino Aburam, he declares. Mednin comes to pick up as Naruto listens to explaining the Aburam clan to his students. Let's start the third match. It is Karen Uzumaki vs Sakura Haruno, Naruto declares. Sakura looks around for Sasuke to watch, but he is still gone with Kakashi, while Karen makes her way down. Haruno, get down here or be disqualified. Naruto shouts. Sakura slowly comes down as Karen is waiting for her. I want Sasuke-kun to watch me, Sakura says. So you can't fight without him watching. Are you no different than Yamanaka? Are you pretending to be a ninja if you're not? Begin, Naruto says, and Sakura glares at him. She then turns her attention to Karen. I bet if I beat her Sasuke-kun will praise me, Sakura thought, reaching into her pack. Sakura fires a dozen shuriken towards Karen, but the Redeed draws a kunai to block them, with the remains hitting her gloves, but doing her no harm. Sakura quickly rushes Karen and creates 3 clones to confuse her, not remembering Karen was a very adept sensor. Suiton. Mizuum Nabara Karen recites, after weaving signs and stopping at a tiger. Karen spews a viscous amount of water onto the ground and Sakura steps right into it, catching her left leg to knock her forward. What is this? Sakura screeches, catching herself with her right hand but trapping her more. Sakura-san, we were training together for a month during our mission, yet you still didn't even bother to change, Karen says, and appears behind Sakura with her hands outstretched. Tsurum no jutsu, Karen says, and the viscous water forms the water prison. Sakura struggles to hold her breath and quickly mouths her surrender, causing Karen to free her. Winner Karen Uzumaki, Naruto declares. Scene break. Kakashi appears with a puff of smoke as Mednin helps Sakura from the arena floor. Oya Sakura fights, he says. Yeah, and she lost to Uzumaki comments. She showed quite youthful skill states and Kakashi glanced his way. You say something, guy, Kakashi says, and balls, muttering about hip attitude. The rookies were also conversing among themselves. Your teammate is skilled. We will see if we ever fight, Hinata states and glances at Niji as he stares but looks away. She didn't even graduate with us. How is she that strong? Ino says. She was taught by her cousin, Tenten says, shocking some of them. Who's her cousin? Choji asks. It's in her last name. Her cousin is Naruto, Shikamaru says. Kankuro walks up to their conversation. So who's this Naruto character? He asks, and Kiba scoffs. He was the dead last of our year but disappeared 3 years ago and reappeared a few months ago, as Chunin Kiba says. Somehow Ino says, chiming in. Naruto should be someone to strive for. Yes, he was the dead last, but in 3 years improved enough to become a Chunin, Kurenai says, watching Naruto as the other proctors clean up Karens. I bet I could beat him, Kiba says, and Akamaru barks, causing Kurenai to internally roll her eyes. Naruto would rip you apart or Hana would do it for him, Kurenai thought. The next match is Tenten Higurashi vs Temari Sabaku. Naruto interjects. The pair slowly make their way down to the arena floor. Watch me, Naruto 10 times. If that pink thing is any indication of Konoha Kunoichi, then I have nothing to worry about except for the Uzumaki or maybe the Hyuga, thought, hand on her hip. Your best, Tenten Lee shouts as Guy cheers with him. Alright, the next match begins, Naruto shouts. Tenten immediately widens the gap between them as it remains still. What are you planning to make after I do? However, it would be too late for you to counter. Unlike you girls playing Kunoichi, I am the real thing and I have 10 team glasses. She quickly leaps and tosses a half-dozen shuriken but brushes them aside by unknown means. They miss. No, you use Ton, smirks. What if I do? Are you now scared? Says, in a mocking tone. Calm down and don't let her rattle you 10 times, measuring the distance between them. Temari reaches for her fan, but Tenten suddenly races around her into a leap with a scroll unfurling around the bun-hair Kunoichi. Take these 10 shouts as weapons burst from the scroll. Temari moves almost completely unseen by Tenten as she lands with weapons scattered around. No way. Tenten shouts. Temari holds her fan with a large purple circle visible. This is the first star. If you see the third star, then this match is over, she says. Don't give up, Tenten Lee shouts. Tenten closes her eyes to calm down. I know that Lee, I was saving this for the main fights, but I have no choice but to use it, she thought, pulling out 2 scrolls. Naruto watches Tenten place both scrolls on the ground with her palms on them. Temari is a bad opponent for you, even using that coupled with your Raten will fail, he thought. Smshmrik, Tenten shouts, creating a huge burst of smoke. The smoke rises to form 2 dragons, but the smoke dispels to reveal the scrolls as Tenten leaps upward. Tenten unleashes an inordinate amount of weapons, but counters, opening her fan to the second star with a full spin and creating a vortex of wind. Tenten lands with her weapons littering the ground, but she isn't downed as she backflips into the air with ninja string coming from her fingers to grasp her weapons. Raten. Rensa Kaminari, Tenten shouts, sending through her strings and electrifying her weapons. Temari is momentarily shocked but smirks and swings her fan, knocking the weapons and Tenten away with her landing on the ground with a skid. That was mildly impressive but futile against me, says her fan, now showing all 3 fans. Tenten gasps as vanishes and looks around. I'm right here, says, from behind her. Ton. Kamitachi no Jutsu shouts, swinging her fan wide. Tenten gasps as she's hit by a vortex of wind that lifts her off the ground and cuts her from all sides. Tenten Lee shouts. There is chakra embedded in that wind. Tenten won't be able to continue, Niji says. The wind dies down and Tenten falls towards the ground only to land back first on Temari's closed fan and it causes her to spit up blood. How boring you can call it, vampire, Temari says. Winner Temari Sabaku, Naruto announces, approaching the pair. Temari pushes Tenten off her fan, but Naruto catches her. You've shown Kunoichi should be feared, he says. Of course, perhaps you'll show me what's under that mask, Temari asks. Naruto turns on his heels to hand Tenten over to the Mednin. Sorry, little squirrel. Only those who share my bed get to see my face, he says and scoffs, returning to the upper levels. We will now have a 10-minute break to clear the floor, Naruto shouts. Scene break. What do you think so far? Hiruzen says. Naruto pushes his mask into the shadows of his hood before slipping a cigarette in and lights it. Our Kunoichi have shown poorly so far, saved Karen, and that's not showing much because she didn't go to the academy, Naruto replies. Hiruzen sighs with a look to the remaining genin. I would agree, I allowed the academy to change so much. Peace has changed us, he says. You can't help that peace has reigned and dull our sword slightly. More like you could blame the civilian council. They made the academy easy so their kids could pass, and those old fossils omitted anything that would deter them. Seduction, what we ninja really do, blooding their hands, Anko says, taking Naruto's cigarette and taking a puff. How long will you keep them alive? Old man, Naruto says, and Hiruzen sighs. They are people I've known most of my life. It's not easy to make such a choice, Hiruzen says. That is why sensei chose wrong. I've been able to work in the shadows because of your soft-hearted nature, a very familiar voice says. Hiruzen looks up with a cold look on his face. Don't do that, he says. Sorry Gramps, but he's sorta right. Danzo managed to keep his dark secrets because you were soft on him. Same with the snake hell Jiraiya too, Naruto says. I won't deny that, but Hiruzen says and shakes his head. I get it, Naruto says and looks at Anko's watch. Well, let's continue on, he adds, vaulting the railing and landing with a crouch. Alright genin, the next match is Hinata Hyuga vs Yoroi Akato, Naruto shouts. Hinata calmly walks down, as Yoroi does the same, the latter with an air of calm. Both fighters are ready, begin, Naruto declares. Hinata puts up a ram sign and her Byakugan activates before she slips into her clan strike. Yoroi narrows his eyes and keeps on edge, but Hinata bursts forward, forcing him to block her strikes, and that was a failure. I can see you gathering chakra in your hands, but that is useless before my eyes, Hinata says. Yoroi jerks as unleashes a flurry of strikes, closing his points with each and knocking him back. It's over. He won't get up, Hinata says, but her breath hitches, seeing Naruto's chakra. Winner Hinata Hyuga, Naruto declares. Hinata slowly returns to the upper levels with a hidden look of shock. Naruto is this Kikatsuki? She thought. Then why was he put on our team? He is an ANBU. Could my father have thought, looking at Naruto. The next match is Shikamaru Nara vs Kintsuchi, Naruto declares. Wendakusai, Shikamaru thought, making his way down. Begin, Naruto declares. Shikamaru starts with his shadow paralysis, but Kin dodges and tosses two with bells attached. Bells, he thought, looking back. Classic tactics of using the bells to distract from the hidden, Shikamaru says, and Kin smirks, tossing more as Shikamaru dodges. However, Shikamaru freezes as the bells sound and he looks only to see them in the wall, also strings attached. Too late, Kin says, catching Shikamaru with two. He pulls them out of his arms, but freezes as his vision starts to blur. What's this, Shikamaru says, collapsing to his knees. That's what happens to those who hear my bells. The sound vibration emitted by these special bells directly attacks the brain from the eardrum and causing one to hallucinate, Kin says, and Shikamaru covers his ears. It's useless, you can't escape this, she adds, as multiple versions of her appear. Damn it. Which is the real one? Shikamaru thought, but cried out as Senbon pierced his arms and shoulder. Kin was about to toss more, but her body seizes and slowly moves. What, she says. Shikamaru slowly gets to his feet. Kajime no jutsu success, he says. How? Kin says. Shikamaru smirks slightly and looks at her string, causing Kin to gasp as the shadow expands. Shikamaru raises his right hand and Kin does the same as they toss shurikens. However, as Shikamaru ducks back, Kin slams her head into the wall and knocks herself out. Winner by knockout, Shikamaru Nara, Naruto says, checking on Kin. Let's see, all that is left is me, that sand guy Choji Lee Niji, and that sound guy, Kiba thought. The next match is Kiba Inyazuka vs Dosu Kanuta, Naruto declares. Yes, it's our turn to crows, and Akamaru barks. Dosu smirks as he makes his way down. This won't take too long, he thought. Kiba pulls Akamaru out his coat as stands with a hunched stance. Begin, Naruto shouts. Kiba lowers his stance with a smirk. Let's go, Akamaru, he shouts. Beast mimicry. All fours jutsu, Kiba shouts as his features become more feral. Kiba launches forward, but he swings his melody arm to block Kiba's strike, causing him to grin at the feral boy. Bad move, says, and channels his chakra. Kiba jerks and leaps as a surge of sound erupts, knocking him back with a skid, but his legs give out. Dosu quickly rushes towards as he recovers and hits him in the head with his melody arm, causing Kiba's eyes to white and blood to come from his ears. Akamaru rushes to Kiba's side, chuckles, call it, he says. Kiba is unable to continue. Winner Dosu Kanuta, Naruto declares. Kiba rushed in without thinking, Kurenai says. What an idiot, Ino says. Big talk from someone who didn't ever fight, Hinata comments as Mednin quickly rushes to check on. "Oh man, there are strong people left," Choji whispers. The next match is Choji Akimichi vs Niji Hyuga, Naruto declares and freezes, looking at the former Rookie of the Year. "I forfeit," Choji shouts, shocking his teammates. "HMPH, he's smarter than he looks," Niji comments. Naruto sighs, but he could see Choji's reasoning. "Alright, the final match is Rock Lee vs Gaara Sabaku," he declares. "Yosh, it's my turn," Lee roars, with fire in his eyes. Gaara stares blankly and makes his way down via sand shunshin as Lee rushes down. "Fighters ready," Naruto shouts and calls for them to begin. Lee slips into a stance but suddenly catches Gaara's cork, quite rude, he says. Lee drops the cork and rushes towards Gaara with a leap into a spin, "Konoha Senki," shouts, connecting with a kick but to a wall of sand. Lee lands and quickly backpedals as the sand attempts to capture him along the ground. The sand almost seems alive, Lee thought. He rushes towards Gaara once again with a series of punches and kicks, but the sand reacts to each of his strikes, forcing him to bring out a kunai to swipe at the sand. The sand continues to follow Lee as he dodges, forcing him to leap upward and toss several shuriken, but the sand reacts and blocks as Lee lands. "Entertain me more," Lee hears and narrows his eyes. "This is not enough. I need more blood," Gaara says as the sand rushes towards Lee and grabs him as he leaps. Lee grunts as he hits a wall from being thrown by the sand and quickly dodges more of it. This is like Tenten's battle. Gaara is the wrong type of opponent for Lee. He can't use ninjutsu, Naruto thought but glanced at, but I'm sure Guy taught him what he thought. Lee lands on the stone hands with a serious look on his face. "This will be very tough," he thought. "Lee. Take them off," shouts. Lee looks to his sensei with wide eyes, "But you said to only do that if I needed to protect many people," he says and gives him the thumbs up. Lee smiles and rolls down his leg warmers to reveal leg weights. "Yosh, I would be able so much more freely," he says, rising up. "You think taking off some weights will help though," but gawks as the weights shatter the ground with a big dust-up. Everyone but Naruto were in complete shock at the display. "Now that is too much," Naruto thought. "Oh, Lee," shouts and Lee vanishes. Gaara gasps as Lee appears in front of him with a right through his sand, but Lee vanishes again, blitzing him from all sides as the sand can't keep up. Temari and Kankuro gasp as Gaara is struck in his cheek before being blitzed again and knocked away. This is a bad thought. Gaara slowly rises to his feet as sand continues to pool around him, but Lee gasps as sand falls from the Ritide's face, revealing a wide and sadistic grin. So he covered himself in sand as armor, Naruto thought. Lee loosens the bandages around his hands before vanishing and kicking Gaara upwards with a series of kicks. Impressive, many thought. Lee winces in pain as Gaara's armor breaks and wraps him in his bandages, then grabs him into a spin towards the ground. "Amit Renge," Lee shouts, crashing them into the ground and creating a medium-sized spiderweb crack. Lee leaps out of the smoke as it clears to reveal Gaara laying motionless. "I got him," he says. Naruto approaches but smirks as Gaara breaks down into sand, causing the genin to gasp in shock. The sand rises behind Lee to reveal Gaara with a dark laugh as the sand rises and attacks Lee, knocking him around several times. Lee's nearly at his limit. "I wonder if he'll use it," Naruto thought and could explain things to the genin. Gaara licks his lips with a sinister look on his face as Lee continues to dodge with heavy breathing. "Such meaningless movements," Gaara sneers, sending his sand and Lee driving Lee into the floor. The sand forms a fist, but suddenly Lee starts to dodge Gaara's attack once again, causing Naruto to smirk behind his mask. "So he did teach you what?" Naruto thought and heard Lee can open 5 gates. "Yufufufu, show me your metal rock, Lee," he thought. "Music. Need to be strong," Naruto asked. Lee crosses his arms over his chest as the air seems to heat up around him as his skin turns red and blue chakra wafts off his body. "Hachiman. Seiman Kai," Lee thought, the ground cracking up. Lee's pupils are no longer visible as the ground cracks further and pieces lift off the ground, but he lowers his stance. "Hachiman. Shimon Kai," he thought. Naruto activates his Sharingan as Lee launches forward, shattering the ground in his wake and kicking Gaara in the chin. The air around them is violently disturbed as dust rises in a forming cloud, while Gaara emerges above with his sand armor cracking more and more. "Where's Lee?" Ino shouts. Lee appears above Gaara with a punch and creates a small shockwave before appearing behind with another minor shockwave. Lee blitzes Gaara from all sides using the walls and ceiling as springboards to attack him. "What? My sand armor is being torn away," Gaara thought, pinballing between Lee's attack. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he could hear Lee's muscles being torn with every movement. "Fool to go this far," he thought. "Hachiman. Toman Kai," Lee thought, opening the 5th gate as blood ran down his nose. Gaara's eyes were wide as Lee closed in on him. "Impossible to defend myself. Is he human?" he thought. Lee vanishes and connects with a blow to Gaara's stomach, sending him plummeting to the arena floor, but he nearly folds backwards as Lee pulls him back with his bandages. "Watch me, Niji. I was saving this for you. See it now and what's to come," Lee thought. "Your revenge." Lee roars, connecting with a punch and kick. The ground buckles as both land with a kick-up of dust and debris, causing everyone to cover their eyes. The dust cloud slowly dissipates with Lee not far away from Gaara, who was laying on a bed of sand. Gaara reaches out his hand slowly with gritted teeth as the sand moves, causing Lee to attempt to move, but his body is racked with pain. The sand creeps closer and closer as Lee tries to move. "I forfeit," Lee shouts. Song ends. Scene break. Gaara ignores Lee's pleas and continues forward with his sand, but Naruto appears in the path. "The match is over enough," Naruto says. Gaara slowly rises to his feet with a blank look. "Not until I kill him," he hisses. "Did you not hear my rules earlier? If I call the match it's over, but if you break that rule," Naruto says and starts leaking his kai. Gaara clutches his head as a voice screams for him to kill Naruto, but their sensei Baki appears behind Gaara. "Enough, Gaara," he says. "You should keep your genin on a leash," Naruto says and clear his throat. "The preliminaries are now over. All winning genin come down," he adds. Anko approaches Naruto to stand on each side of him as Hiruzen stands behind them. "Congratulations on passing to the final round of the Chunin exams. I turn things back to Lord Third and return to the shadows. Do well to entertain us," Naruto says, vanishing before their eyes. As Kikitsuki said, "I will now explain the rules for the third and final round of the Chunin exams." Scene break. Tenten slowly opens her eyes, but groans in pain. "Where am I?" she whispers, looking around, but remembers her defeat at Temari's hand. "Temari was a bad opponent for you." Tenten slowly sits up with a groan to see Naruto appearing out of the shadows with his ANBU mask on, but he removes it. "What did I miss?" Tenten asks. "Niji got a forfeit win to Choji, and Lee lost to Gaara," Naruto replies and takes a seat. "Lee even used the gates and ripped his muscles, but still lost. Like you are a bad opponent," he adds. Tenten grits her teeth and sighs. "Guy-sensei must be upset about Lee," she whispers. "Lee tore himself apart and will be out of commission for a long time," Naruto says. Tenten looks at the bandages on her body, but then tells Naruto, "So what will you do now?" he asks. "I don't know," Tenten says. "Perhaps bite the forbidden apple," Naruto says, waving his hand and now holding an apple. "Forbidden apple?" Tenten questions. Naruto takes a slow bite of the apple. "Do you remember the conversation we had at your parents' shop about my bloodline?" he says, after swallowing. "I didn't say anything," Tenten says, and Naruto grins. "But you thought it, and yes, my bloodline can be passed to others. In fact, I've passed it on to 4 people, Naruto says, and then narrows her eyes. "That Proctor and Kurenai sensei," Tenten says, and Naruto eyes smiles. "Also Kiba's older sister and an ANBU named Nico. The 4 of them knew my mother," Naruto explains, and then gasps as the white of Naruto's eyes bleed black. His blue eyes start to glow, and Naruto opens his mouth to show 2 rows of razor-sharp teeth. "I'm no longer human, panda. I am a creature that haunts the dreams of men. I've become the demon the matrons used to call me. However, I gained power as the no-life duke bestowed upon me by the man who gave the last of his life to me," he says. Tenten stares at Naruto with flickering dark eyes, and the blonde simply eye smiles once again. "I also know about the dreams," he says, and her breath hitches. "My queens have been haunting your dreams and guiding you towards this conclusion. Where you could possibly ask that question. I don't fault them for it, but I prefer not to force someone into this," Naruto says, and pauses to look her in the eye. "If you take the forbidden apple you would gain power, but you could no longer remain a part of Team Guy. You couldn't stay with your parents. You would see them, Guy, Lee, and Niji, as your next meal," Naruto adds. The room soon devolves into silence with only Tenten's breathing for ambience. She starts, but Naruto covers her mouth with his right hand. "Take the month. Do not take this forbidden apple thoughtlessly. Put aside the dreams, put aside the words if that is your desire to have real power," Naruto says and pulls his hand, rising to his feet. Naruto bites the apple once again as he backs into shadows as it accents his glowing blue eyes. "Will you live, as a human or live, as a monster?" he says, vanishing into the shadows and leaving Tenten alone. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.